On Site. Thank you for joining us on another episode of On Site, and today in studio with Francis Shilongo, who is an architect by profession. He is also the CEO and creative director of Francis Photo Studio, as well as co-owner or co-founder of Launch Namibia. So, Francis, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Melira?
I'm fine. So, Francis, before we get to the business, what were you doing? Who were you? Were you selling sweets on the streets? Were you just in your room reading comics? And what was your deal?
Well, in my case, I actually started entrepreneurship as a student.
Okay.
So,
and where was this?
This was at NUST.
Okay.
So the bulk of my time was spent studying or going to uni, and then just started entrepreneurship as a kind of side thing.
Were you also selling, what were you calling them when you were at NUST? Study guides?
Nah, I wasn't in that business, but I saw the guys.
Oh, you saw the guys. What were you doing specifically?
So my entrepreneurship journey kind of started with a platform called One.na, which was a platform where we wanted to kind of portray Namibia in its best light. Okay. So going to various events, taking photos, interviewing people, asking them what they love about the country, where they see the country in 30 years, kind of trying to align it with Vision 2030, but from a young person's perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were doing that, and then from there, it then sort of branched out into photography and looking at entrepreneurship, and that's where FPS and Launch were also born.
Okay. Before we get to FPS and Launch, why architecture? Is it that you just have an eye for beautiful things, or?
I grew up with a liking for drawing, and I had design and technology, for example, in high school, and like most people, I joined architecture thinking it's about drawing only. Okay. But as I went into the field, I started to fall in love with it more, because there's a lot more about architecture than just the drawing part.
A little bit more now into the studio and Launch, and you said you were busy on a project just aligning with Vision 2030, and that is where you decided, photography is the deal.
Yeah.
And how did you get into it? Because at this point, I know that it's a congested industry. Everyone is a photographer today. So what sets you apart from, what motivated you to still get into that industry, and what sets you apart from our everyday photographers?
Okay, I mean, photography specifically started as a hobby. Because as I continued my career, I think I was in my third year or second year of architecture school, and I needed something different from architecture just to keep myself sane. So I went to something that I'm inclined to, something that I would still like, and photography was that thing. So it started as a hobby, and then people started to see the work as I posted it on IG, and then they started wanting to pay for it. So then I thought, why not? But apart from that, I mean, even if the market is congested, I always tell people there's more than enough for all of us.
Okay.
I'm not going to do 5 weddings in a day, so let other guys also have a piece of the pie. Or another thing that I tell people is, like, you have so many cars on the road, or so many cars in the industry, but Volkswagen, it remains the most consistent. Like, it's always going to be relevant. Okay. So how about you create a brand that has that sort of kind of drive, that I can be with you forever. I'm a household brand. It's not, oh, I'm the best photographer in Namibia or whatever. It's more, can I stick with you for a lifetime and still also pass on this legacy onto the next generation.
Oh, so that is what you're trying to build. You're just not trying to take photos. You're trying to be Guys, he's trying to be the Volkswagen of photography. I don't know how my technical guy feels about that, but hey, it's what it is. So, and then what I wanted to ask is, so your 85, is that what finances your side hustles? Because it's easy for any person to say, like, and I'm gonna keep repeating this, it's easy for you to say, get up, start a business, but photography, you need a camera. I bet your business is registered, so I also need papers to I even just need to take care to go pick up those papers to register. So it's where did you get the finance from? Not everyone has privileged to have an 8 to 5, and being an architect, I believe you are making enough.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Luckily, my 8 to 5 doesn't have to finance any of my businesses. They're all running themselves.
Okay.
And I'm thankful for that. But initially, the onset came from, just taking savings as a student and buying the first camera. I think our first camera was a 1200D Canon. That was around $4,000. It was a lot of money at the time. So at the moment, we don't take anything from our pockets. The business does everything for itself. Both entities, both launch and FPS.
Okay.
So we are very fortunate.
Before I come back to Francis photography, there's a lot I want to find out. But going to Launch Namibia, what is Launch Namibia about? I see it. I know it has something to do with entrepreneurs, but I never really, put in the effort to find out what you guys are really about. So what is that?
Okay. So Launch is a media agency that comprises of Launch Namibia and Launch Media.
Okay.
So Launch Namibia has to do with our annual magazine that publishes about 10 to 20 entrepreneurs annually who have done well. And then we have the Launch Pitch Night, which is a platform for upcoming entrepreneurs to advertise their ideas or to pitch their ideas to potential investors. We host that on a bi-monthly basis. And then we have a weekly feature platform on our Instagram, and it's also reflected on our website, where we have an entrepreneur of the week, somebody who we feel has done something significant or has performed, and we give them that platform to be kind of seen.
Okay. So, but you are co-founder of this. Yeah. And your partner is?
Tom Shilongo. It's my
your
older brother.
So it's like a family business.
Yeah, I would say, it is sort of a family business.
Okay. I'm going now, and you said you guys have pitch nights, and then you guys sort of finance young entrepreneurs or people that really need help with their businesses or establishment. So where does that money come from?
So we don't necessarily finance them directly. We have partnerships in the industry basically, where we have people from BIPA, we have people from Ministry of Trade, we have graphics designers, we have life coaches or business coaches, a bunch of people who sponsor their services. And then there is a monetary sponsorship also that comes from donations. So we give the entrepreneurs a package, like a startup package, that propels them then into startup.
And how do I qualify, or how can I be part of this pitch night?
So we always put out notices for when the next pitch night will be, and then you just send your information. We send you a form that you fill in, and then we go through the idea basically. We assess. You can tell a lot from somebody's pitch or their business plan, whether they are serious or not. Then we assess that, and then we give the qualifying people an opportunity.
If you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go a long way, go together. And I know that you have your 8 to 5, and I know that you have your studio that's at Wesleyan. So do you have partners in that business? And when you are at work, who runs the studio, or do I have to wait for 5 o'clock to come take pictures?
An important thing was, after finishing with my studies, I didn't have the capacity to be available to do shoots at any time, obviously because of the 8 to 5. So we established a formal studio, moving from our garage to a place where people have access. And I have partners, and they've played quite a crucial role in bringing the business where it is now. And on a weekly basis, we have now 4 full-time staff members in our studio who run the studio, and then we do an overseeing of their work.
Oh, that's nice. You have employees, your boss, your boss man.
Got some people there.
So you are out here paying for social security and all of that.
We're sorting our people out.
That is very inspiring. The fact that you are really handling business, and then you have an establishment, and you have your employees that are well looked after. It's really more than just taking pictures. everyone has an idea, and the other week I had a lady that said she turned her passion into something. So what is your motto? What do you have to say for the other young people just to help boost their confidence?
To give a cliche answer, I have this saying that goes, what you are says so much or speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. It's almost as if to say what you do says a lot more than what you say. So it's fine to have an idea, it's fine to speak about it and kind of scare people with your big ideas, but are you pursuing them? Are you doing something about it? That's the very first step. It's to dive into it and just go for it.
That is very interesting. It's not a cliche. I've never heard that.
Oh.
I've heard a lot of people say things, but I hear them say dive into it. Just do it. But what you do says more about you than what you say.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on another episode of On-Site. Francis, thank you for joining us today. And Francis' message for the day is just dive into it, because actions speak louder than words. But yet again, what he's saying is you don't need to make money today. Or money is important, but influencing or having a lifetime impact is also important, because I believe it's the best security. So tomorrow you don't even need to go look for your clients, people come look for you. So enjoy your day. Goodbye.